What's going on, lads? It's Billy the Kid here, and I hope you're having a great day, and thank you for joining me for today's video. The gameplay is going to be some classic Bad Company 2 on Harvest Day. The game mode is Conquest, and one of my favourite things to do in Bad Company 2 on Conquest maps like this one was to grab in a tank and just tear shit up for the enemy team, and that's exactly what I do in the following gameplay, so I hope you enjoy. Now, today's topic, I want to talk to you lads about the state that the Battlefield community is in right now and my thoughts on it. And in the comment section down below, I want you to post your own thoughts on this subject. You can agree or disagree with me on several points. Feel free to put in your own thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, the reason why I've chosen Bad Company 2 footage over, say, Battlefield 4 footage or Battlefield 2 footage was because, for me, Bad Company 2 was my first online experience with the Battlefield community. This game came out back in 2010, and I had just recently managed to acquire internet. I managed to get internet in the house, and for the first time I was able to log on online and play games online with friends, both on the PlayStation 3 and on PC for the first time. Before, I would have to go to a library or a internet cafe, or maybe just use the college, the school where I was educated in. I could use their computers to a certain extent, although there were some instances where I couldn't actually play online. I just had to use the computers for online, chatting and all that kind of stuff. But for me personally, Bad Company 2 was my first online first-person shooter experience. It was the first game where I played online in terms of, for the first-person shooter genre. I did play Battlefield 2 before, but not to a huge extent. You have to remember that back in, I believe it was 2001 or 2002 or 2003 when Battlefield 2 came out, the internet servers situation in Ireland wasn't very good. Not a lot of homes had access to the internet. Like I said, you had to go to libraries or internet cafes, so I didn't play very much of Battlefield 2, but when I got internet in the house and I had Battlefield Bad Company 2, I had it actually for a year, and then I was finally able to play it online. I met a lot of great friends. I interacted with the community whenever I had a problem that I needed to sort out, whether like, what should I run with the tank, what should I run with this class, what setup should I go with, etc, etc. The forum posts were the #1 place to go. You could go there, ask your question, and you get an answer within 5 minutes of somebody saying, well, this is the setup I run with on this map. This route on this map is very, unnoticed. You should try and use this route to sneak around, and you could take the enemy from behind, etc, etc. So the community was very helpful with each other in Bad Company 2. The game was very well balanced. There was no real bullshit gameplay mechanics. It was well designed maps. It had well balanced weapons and vehicles. There was not a lot of weapons that people would scream OP. There was not a lot of M16s. The M16 was in there, but it was in a burst mode, and it was a very well balanced game, and a lot of people enjoyed it. And all of this helped to make a very well informed community that sought to help each other out, both in-game, with the in-game chat, and on the forums as well. Now, people actually played the game that it was supposed to be played. They played Bad Company 2 the way it was supposed to be played. They played Rush the way it was supposed to be played. They played Conquest the way it was supposed to be played. They played with the different classes the way they were supposed to be played. I was actually playing earlier on today. I played a few rounds, including the one you're watching, and some random guy who was playing support class actually just threw down a health pack for me. Even though I never asked him, he just saw that I was wounded and he threw down a health pack. I didn't have to ask him, and that was just one thing that just clicked in my head. Oh my god, I remember when people actually did that. Back in Bad Company 2, they still do it. I'm shocked. 4 years later, after the game was originally launched, people actually still play the classes they're supposed to be played. Rush was the #1 objective game mode on Bad Company 2, and everybody tried to do their best, whether they were defending or attacking. Very rarely you would get a team that wouldn't attack, they'd stay back and snipe. Very rarely that actually happened. When Battlefield 3 launched, a lot of Bad Company 2 players, including myself, who were used to the pace and style of the gameplay, were shocked when Battlefield 3 launched. There was nothing really they could compare with Bad Company 2's pace and gameplay, and they had to adapt to a new play style with different gameplay mechanics, etc, etc. Now, some were not happy with this, and this is where the problems started, in my own opinion. To a large extent, Now, most of the community who played Battlefield 3 were positive people who tried to enjoy the game as best they could, and they played it the way it was supposed to be played. And those who complained about certain aspects of Battlefield 3 and certain gameplay mechanics, whether it be in the forum posts or in in-game chat or even on YouTube videos, they were a minority in the community. Most of the community that played Battlefield 3 had a positive experience with Battlefield 3. Still, there were a lot of outspoken people complaining that a certain weapon was OP, like the M16. A lot of people were complaining about the M16 being basically a laser rifle. A lot of people were complaining that this map was poorly designed for rush or conquest, that the sunlight was too bright. Now, some of these issues were valid issues within the game that needed to be fixed, and I, for one, agreed with many of these topics at the time. So while the Battlefield community ran into a few hiccups regarding the experience they had with BF3 to a large extent, the community continued to be positive and helpful to each other and to DICE to increase their experience and their enjoyable experience with Battlefield 3. Then Battlefield 4 launched and things started to fall apart rather rapidly. I'd say within 3 months of the launch of Battlefield 4, pretty much 85 to 90% of the Battlefield community began to unravel into a hate-filled, complaining, racist, immature and downright remedial group of players and fans. There are a number of reasons for this, and the number one reason was, and still is, the broken, buggy ass launch of Battlefield 4. The state of the game on launch, the unbalanced weapons, the explosives and grenade spam, the poorly designed maps and so on, it did a lot of damage to this once great and friendly community. The community felt, to a certain extent, betrayed by DICE for failing them, and this led to a lot of anger and hate, and of course, anger and hate don't bode well within a team-oriented first-person shooter, and as such, the community began to become a shell of its former self. No one was trying to help each other with capturing objectives. No one was helping reviving, repairing vehicles when asked by fellow teammates. And in fact, if you asked somebody, hey, can you hop out of my tank and repair my tank? Or if you said, medics, please revive me, I'm dead, the likely answer you were going to get was in the form of, shut the fuck up you noob, I'm sniping, or I'm too busy riding your mom, etc. Am I saying the entire Battlefield community is like this? No, of course not. There are a few random guys who try their best at helping you in every match. If you help them, they will help you. This is generally the idea. Sadly, those few lads are always outnumbered by the idiots who join a conquest match to snipe from their spawn and C4G had Jeep tanks, or rather than just play the fucking objective. Now, how and why did this happen? I'm sure there's a number of different issues, but in my own opinion, I believe it has a lot to do with the gameplay mechanics in BF4 that just don't work. Commander mode in Rush, which they are removing in CTE for BF4, so thank you DICE for that. The commander could continuously spam UAVs that would spot you and your teammates for the enemy, and you got nowhere in Rush matches if you were attacking. You really just got nowhere. Not to mention that the Rush maps themselves were very poorly designed in terms of the vehicles that each team could use, and the MCOM placement as well, also something they're changing in the CTE. This one gameplay mechanic, among many others, led to a large part of the community to refuse to play the game it was supposed to be played, and instead BF4 went from a team-based first-person shooter to a dick around and not care about the objectives game. So in the end, what does this mean for the Battlefield community? I mean, even if the CTE initiative does manage to fix all the problems, or even most of the problems that BF4 has in the long run, down the road, if they do manage to fix them, I believe that the damage has been done to a large part of the community, and it's going to be very, very hard to fix this. That's to say if the player base within BF4 can be fixed at all. In the end, there are still great people within the community who try their best at helping others and DICE in trying to fix Battlefield 4, and now the community has two choices. It can either grow up and accept the fact that Battlefield 4 sucks ass right now, but it could get better in the future, and if they want a better BF4 experience, they need to get behind DICE to ensure this happens, and give them positive feedback and negative feedback when it needs to be happened. Or It can remain the spiteful, idiotic, immature, complaining morons who continue with each passing day to remain a part of this once great community very hard. So lads, those are my thoughts on the state of the Battlefield community right now. Like I said, it's not the entire community, but it is unfortunately a large part of the community. It's a large part of the player base within Battlefield 4. Let me know your thoughts on this subject. Please be sure to leave your feedback in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed today's video, if you enjoyed the gameplay, if you enjoyed the commentary, please leave a like because your feedback is always appreciated. Thank you lads for watching. This is Billy the Kid. If you enjoyed today's video, please check out the channel and subscribe if you're new. Thanks again for watching lads. This is Billy the Kid and I'll see you again.